Hello, welcome back everybody again. Today I'm interviewing two people actually. It's two for today. This is the first time I've ever done two people in one interview. Say hello.
Hello.
Hola.
And
Introduce yourself, love.
Hmm?
Introduce yourself.
I'm Midnight 29.
And Visual Pony's the narrator here.
ah, so my starting off question is what got you into the fandom?
Ladies first.
I started watching My Little Pony as a guilty pleasure, and through that, because I couldn't watch it on my TV, had to watch it on YouTube, and then came across the Brony fandom. And basically, it went from there. Watched pony reviewers, like Dr. Wolf and so, and decided I want to start at a channel, so here I am.
Well, for me, it's a little bit more of a sad story. I was. Well, I met this girl back then in an online game, and she kind of played me for a fool. And when I found that out, I was standing in front of the, well, ruins of my existence, really, because I had planned to move where she was living and all that. I was really depressed because I canceled everything. And for weeks, I was really, really depressed, near suicidal. And then a friend who I had also met in said online game kept sending me pony parody videos to cheer me up. I kept kind of teasing her for watching My Little Pony at her age. I apologized for that later. And I remember when she sent me the Lord of the Rings reenacted by ponies, there was a video in the recommended list that I clicked on after that one was finished, and it was called Games Ponies Play. I thought it was also another fan animation. Turned out it was an episode of season 3 of the show. And I liked it, and within a week I had watched all 3 seasons. So there you go.
See, you guys have better backstories of joining the fandom than me. How I came across it was I tell everybody that it started because I was bored doing nothing in one of the rooms that is still in the house that I'm living in, and the this little girl that I knew who was Native American was watching My Little Pony on the computer because she wanted to use the computer. She was like 6 or 7, and I'm just sitting there bored on the futon, like 5 feet away from her, just bored out of my mind. And I'm looking at the corner of my eye, and I'm like looking, and I'm like seeing the animation of the show and how it's going. I'm like, I like this. This is cool. That's what I told everybody. But in reality, how it first happened was there was somebody who basically came along and told me, "Hey, watch these," because I was in high school and I was playing games in the library, Halo, all of that, and he showed me these MLP parodies. The first one I think I ever watched was the Dot Mauve series, and that's how I got into the
Mm-hmm.
fandom.
Mm-hmm.
The
I
the reason I share these stories as well is it's to broaden your horizons, hopefully, so you guys have more to talk about in the interview.
sure.
Fair enough.
Um,
I never really got into the parodies.
They're good, love. They're really good.
I'm
Speaking
not
of
denying
that,
they're good. They're just not my thing.
Ah, okay.
what were you guys doing before the fandom, and how old were you both before the fandom?
I was in secondary school, but late secondary, so I'd say 17, 18. when I first discovered the show. I actually never watched it as a child. Never. I was far too much into Teen Titans.
Teen Titans Go!
Yeah, not Teen Titans Go.
Ew.
Teen Titans, way better.
I
And yeah, that would be about the age. But I was the fandom had already started by then, so it was I think we were already in season 2 or 3 by that point. I don't know. I'm very bad at with dates.
Well, for me it was 2013, so 6 years back. I was 27, and this was, I think, just at the end of season 3. Yeah. And what I had been doing before, well, on YouTube, not much really. I was very active in the anime community and actually made a game because I was unsatisfied with the ending of another game. So I made a fan game, and that took me a year to finish. Sadly, I don't have a copy of it anymore, and no one else seems to either.
Continuing on, what are your favorite aspects about the fandom?
I would have to say the support. Now, I know, of course, every fandom has a dark side, every fandom has a side that's not fun, but that's because we're all human. However, the capacity of friendship and strength and support I've seen, especially when I went through my chemotherapy and all, it was seriously amazing. I would go back and read those messages even now and just be like, these strangers who I don't know, just through actually having fun in a random girls' cartoon, are able to reach out and say, hey, you're okay, we're here for you. So that's my favorite part anyway.
The creativity. I don't think there's anything the Brony fandom hasn't done. We have made games, we have made movies, music, animations, audiobooks, stories, and there's such a wide variety that no one, even now, and the fandom is still going, even, yeah, it is declining, but even now, with the stuff that comes out every day, one would be hard-pressed to watch and read everything in a single lifetime.
Yeah, that would be difficult.
This fandom has been going on strong for the last, I don't know, 7 or 8 years, and it's really good to think about. It's sad that like the last season is this year, but I'm also happy to think about all the new generations of like the people who do readings, editing, voice acting, singing, etc. for Generation 5.
We'll see what happens with the next iteration of My Little Pony.
Yeah, I'm actually glad that they're stopping it now, because and then renewing it with a new series, because it means that you can go, the next version can do things that this one can't anymore because of the way they've written characters and things. So just like this is gonna sound really weird, just like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which has had so many iterations. Like even now there's a new one out where the turtles are younger, and it's kind of weird. They can do things that the other ones couldn't, and so I'm glad they're stopping it now rather than making it go on and on and on and on and on and on and on.
Kind of like Naruto.
I don't watch the show, so I wouldn't know. But sure.
I kind of dislike Naruto. Never watched it.
I loved the show, but I stopped at episode 215, I think it was, of Naruto Shippuden. So I never saw the end.
I
really want to
was
remedy that.
I was such an obsessed fan with a certain anime that I went back, watched the first episode of it all the way to episode 366.
One Piece?
And that anime was Bleach.
Ah,
Ah,
I stopped during the fight against the Espada.
I stopped after like the 5th episode. Sorry, again,
Oh.
not my thing. I don't know why. That's an anime I should like, but for some reason it just was like, can I
Believe me,
go now?
it starts weak, but you should watch a little further because it really gets cool later.
Yes, it gets a lot better, although the only aspect I hated was all of that filler. It threw off the plot of the show that made it so confusing.
Love. In the end, there is a little plush lion who is alive and a total perv.
Okay, when does an anime not have that type of character?
You good?
What? Add it to the list, love. Add it to the list.
Continuing on, and speaking about how it's gonna end soon like this, it honestly, I feel like it's doing it justice. Kind of like how I feel they didn't drag on Adventure Time. I feel Adventure Time ended at a good spot.
Never watched it.
Ah,
Watched bits and pieces, but I agree with considering a friend of mine told me all about it. It's good they ended it when they did.
I also happened to rewatch and finish regular show from season 5 to season 8. And
Don't know
that
that one.
that show got me emotional at the end.
There are some shows that ended at exactly the right spot. Others,
So
I am not too sure.
I would honestly ask this as well. What is the worst, like the most disturbing story in the fandom that you have read?
You first, love.
No, ladies first. I know exactly what I have in mind.
The most disturbing. See, I don't usually read those types because I usually deliberately go for everyone stories.
Mm-hmm.
Disturbing. I honestly don't know. I haven't. Nothing's coming
Pink
to
eyes.
mind. Huh?
Pink eyes.
Oh, Pink Eyes is just sad. Happy and sad at the same time.
The perfect hell. Or your Halloween things, the way you scared yourself.
Oh yeah, what was the Halloween story? Shoot. Oh yeah, it was really creepy. See, I'm a bit of a scaredy wolf, so if it's where Twilight comes home and has to stay in the house alone, and she thinks she hears her brother upstairs, and it's just overall creepy because in my own life I've always had that creeping feeling. I still have to run up the stairs whenever I'm turning off the lights in the house if I'm home alone. So yeah, no, that's creepy. That's a creepy one that I would say. Most people wouldn't call it creepy. Most people would say it's fine, but no, that would be the creepy one, at least in recent memory.
I have 2 stories there, actually. 3 if you count stories just for bad writing. The bad writing one is called I Swear I'm Not Okay. This story is literally written in chat lingo.
Okay.
With lol and omg and oh god. Okay, it looks like it has been written by someone who has just learned how to, like, the basic vocabulary of English combined with chat speak. It was horrible and disturbing in a way that it also had Twilight calling Celestia a stupid old dumb bitch. Disturbing in a just general sense was what Spike's Futanari adventure, which someone sent to me, and I knew what Futanari means, but I was like, okay, let's read it. And afterwards, I was sitting there with literally an eyelid twitching, and yeah, it basically has the CMC finding some potions that changes their gender, and then they're having sex with Spike and each other. And the one that basically really creeped me out, where I went to the toilet at night and then in my half asleep state actually thought that I saw Pinkie Pie standing behind my door holding a hacksaw, was Cupcakes the musical. Cupcakes the musical.
Forgot
Because
about
I made the mistake of narrating the entire musical in one go.
Honestly, I can't compare, but I really think I have five. I have five top disturbing ones, and those fives are Candy that was narrated by Emocat, Silent Ponyville, Fluttershy Butterflies. What were the other ones? The other two. Cutie Mark, Sweet Apple Air, Something Massacre, and the fifth was Today I Talked to Mrs. Smarty Pants.
I don't recognize any of those. No, that is not telling you to send me them. But I don't recognize any of those. They sound creepy though.
Sweet Apple Massacre is the worst one of them.
Everyone dies.
All I remember is it was really controversial because the first ones to die were the CMC.
I could top that, I think, with the stories that I once wrote and then removed off of film fiction, where the main six, excluding Twilight, and the CMC were skinned alive and nailed to the walls of their rooms with the words traitors written above them in their own blood.
Oh, that brings me back to memories of Chapter 22 of Fallout Project Horizons.
Yeah. Blackjack's mom's head on a pipe with a sign that reads traitor, and her pip buck also hanging on that pipe.
Yeah, and here's the funny thing. I finished Project Horizons. It was really sad. It got me pretty good, but then there was other things that I had watched, like two certain anime. One of which destroyed me. The first one was Devilman Crybaby. That one was fucked. And the second one was Akadame Ga Kill, and everyone dies. Oh, I really felt really bad for Chelsea because she didn't deserve to die that way.
I don't know how involved you are in the anime fandom, but you might know about the game genre that is visual novels.
Somewhat, yes.
Um, I don't know. Did you join the text chat?
I did. I'm in private text chat. It just says it keeps saying load more messages, but it won't load more messages.
Then I'm sending you this as a private message as well. There was back then a game which was called Edelweiss, and it is a really awesome game. It's like a dating sim, and there was an ending of one girl. Like you have a tragic happening in every one of the paths that you can take, but it always kind of resolves into a happy ending. But the character that I wanted to get ending with the most, she has kind of a bittersweet ending. She gets disabled from her legs, from her hips down. By the way, the channel on which this video is that I just sent you, this is like my old YouTube channel that I don't even have the password for anymore. And so I went ahead and extracted all the CG files, character images, and everything from the game and made a fan game called Edelweiss Mizuki Aftermath. And it was very well received, if I may say so. And what I just sent you there is the opening to it.
Okay. And speaking of stuff like that, dating sims, you're giving me like really bad flashbacks to Doki Doki Literature Club.
Don't play that. Don't play that. You play games like that for the shock value.
And
Really, if you wanna play something really sweet, play Edelweiss. It will get you at times. Really, it will. Because as I said, there are tragic happenings in each and every path. But except the Mizuki route, there are always happy endings.
my next question is that what got either of you into the Fallout Equestria thing or into voice acting and narrating in general?
Go ahead.
Obviously not Fallout for me, because the only thing I know about Fallout is from visual. But as for narration, I was a bit naive, and although I'd watched a lot of the analysts people, I saw there were loads of them, so I was like, you know what, I don't see anyone narrating stories because I hadn't been looking, and so I decided to start reading stories. It is only when I started reading stories I realized, oh, nuts, there are a lot of these people.
There are millions of us.
Yeah.
We
but
are legion.
I still continued because I was, my family told me I have a good reading voice, and I actually started to really enjoy it. It was a way of acting without actually acting. I did my first big story, The Night Guards. Now, looking back at it, it's not that great. I could vastly improve on it now, but I just started doing it because I thought no one's doing it, realized everyone's doing it, but continued because I liked doing it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Good. There you go.
Well, I just want to say that my being connected with Fallout Equestria as much as I am, because seriously, people keep messaging me about Fallout Equestria book prints and new Fallout Equestria stories all the time. Originally, my channel was simply to complete stories others had dropped. And I came across Fallout Equestria on Equestria Daily. And the readings that they have posted there, I don't actually know if it's still on there, was unfinished. And so I started reading it. I only later learned that Crazed Ramblings had already completed it. But yeah, the audiobook that is on Equestria Daily, I'm checking it right now, is going up to chapter 22 and then immediately jumps to the epilogue, which we all know isn't where the story ends. And Fallout Equestria went really well. I produced it side by side with Project Sunflower back in the day. And then I was like, okay, people seem to like Fallout Equestria, and so I produced the next. And that went also fairly well. And then I did the big mistake of putting it up for the vote if I would do Project Horizons. Yeah, it was meant as a freaking joke. I actually wanted to produce the Twilight Enigma. And Horizons won by a single vote.
I might have been there. I might have voted for that. I can't remember.
And yeah, it was my big mistake. I only learned it later. That I had made the big mistake. I was already wondering, why there were so many votes. I had made the big mistake. I wanted my patrons to vote. And I hadn't made that post private. So someone went ahead and shared that poll on Facebook.
Oh, Han, that is not that good at all.
Oy vey.
And in terms of readings in general, how I came to be a narrator, you might remember a person named Forrest Rain.
Oh, I miss that person.
He, she, or whatever pronoun he goes by now, did a reading of Upheaval Breaking Point. And I had avoided fanfictions for good reason for quite a while. And the fanfictions I had read up to that point were bad. I hadn't read any of the MLP fandom yet, but of other fandoms like Neon Genesis Evangelion, Pokemon, Digimon, Sosei no Aquarion, stuff like that. And then I came across Breaking Point by Forrest Rain. And I loved it. Eventually, he did Reckoning. And here's the thing. He took an entire month to produce one chapter of Reckoning without music or sound effects. And I was like, okay, I can do this faster. And that's how I got into readings.
See,
What was it that Scribbler called you?
Mr. Iron Voice.
man, it's so weird for small channels like us and all that to like meet such big channels so easily and like grow into bigger channels later on.
The thing is that I do not consider my channel big, or our channel.
Yes,
Um,
our channel.
Yes, our channel is not. It's not that big. We don't even have 5K subscribers yet, and I don't think this channel will exceed, let's say, 20K in our lifetime. So the biggest one of us, of course, is Scribbler. And she, just like we are, is pretty accessible. If you don't... there's just one thing that you really shouldn't do if you want to talk to like Midnight or me or other narrators or people on YouTube in general, and that I personally think is fangirling or fanboying.
See, and here's the funny thing. What I don't have in subs, I make up for by collabing with a lot of different YouTubers that are in different fandoms. Like, there was this one group that I was with for a good few months, but then the boss stopped responding to me, and it made me a little upset. I don't know how much their channel's sitting at now, but when I first joined them, they were around like 9,000 subscribers, and when they stopped responding to me, they were at like 12,000.
Mm-hmm.
I remember voicing Gribbly and Natstablook. Oh, and Boris.
Those names do not mean anything to me. Sorry.
Bendy and the Ink Machine, Undertale, and that's it.
Undertale would mean more to Midnight.
What's this? Undertale? What? Boris? Wait, names familiar. Damn it, I wish I was better at names.
Continuing on, my question is, why, when you finished, the first Wild Equestria, why did you not jump at the chance of doing, 10 years later, or 5 years later, or whatever?
What?
Yeah, K-Cat has another story called, like, 5 or 10 years later.
Let me see. 5 years later, Fallout Beyond Equestria, final session log. Oh, when did she post this actually? I haven't... The thing is... Oh. It's not a story as far as I see. It is a post that she did in 2017. The only stories she actually has on her FimFiction profile are Origin Story, it's a Daring Do thing apparently, and Fallout Equestria. What you mean, the Fallout Equestria, Beyond Equestria 5 years later, seems to be a paste bin thing, and until you mentioned it right now, I wasn't even aware of it.
Oh, she must have removed the story, because it was on there for a good chunk of time.
No, as far as I see, she did a post, but it's only on Pastebin.
Okay, this is awkward. So I know that you plan on doing Homelands?
I'm already doing Homelands.
Yes. What sucks is Thumber can't tell me any spoilers, and I really wanted to, like, drag that in to my fans.
What do you want to know?
Honestly, actually, I want to try to ask, and I know this is too much to ask, but I'd like for, like, hopefully, since I know that Midnight is a narrator, I'd love to try to see her do, like, a, like, little live stream 1 hour reading of Fallout Equestria's speech.
Actually, Lev, I think you might be able to do that one, because I haven't looked too far into Speak, but by the way, we do have permission to produce Speak from the author. Speak, Love, is a story that is less the horrors of the wasteland, but it focuses on a pony that, after the whole horrors of Project Horizons, is sent to the village of Chapel to be basically the therapist for a very special pony. And that very special pony turns out to be Blackjack.
Ah, okay. I won't outright say no, since Visual has said I possibly could do it. Maybe I'll take a look, but no promises.
I'll take a look at it and then show you, then see if you would actually be able to do it, or if it would, you know.
I'd like to tell you beforehand that it kind of, later on, it kind of does get a little worry, but it's still a little less disturbing than Project Horizons.
I've just sent you the prologue of Homelands as it is currently produced.
Okay, I'll take a look at it later and hopefully like it. But and here's another thing: we're talking about all these like bad, sad, disturbing stories, and I feel really bad because I forced my mother upon reading this certain series that was written and published by Aaron Hunter called Warrior Cats.
Mm-hmm. Ah, nice story.
There's so many questions I want to ask, but they're all lingering in my brain.
I have, if it's related to Warrior Cats, I've only listened to the first 2 audiobooks.
My next question is what's the saddest stories you have read, both Fallout and Raidler?
Go ahead, love.
Again, I don't. Well, actually, there is one that's in storage right now that I am planning to release at some point. I believe I have permission to say. Where is it? Storage. Not that one. Not that one. It's quite sad, but at the same time, it's quite. Okay, there's 2 in my head. There's the one that I've actually written on FimFiction as well. It was for the Everfree Northwest Scribbler Fest a few years back. And then there's The Sound of Muzak, which I read. Which was a suggestion by a Patreon of mine. And that strikes quite close to home for me. If you can't guess, it's about vinyl scratch. And she's on her deathbed. So those would be the saddest ones I've read, I think. Other than Pink Eyes, of course. Yeah, I'll admit, I wanted to slap Visual at one point just for making me play this character.
You threw a hissy fit when you thought you weren't going to play the character. If you remember correctly.
I do not remember, but okay.
I do remember. Chapter 1. I sent you the thing without your lines in, just to see what your opinion was, and you yelled at me.
Miscommunication?
Mm-hmm. So, okay. The saddest stories that I've read in terms of Fallout? Things that must be Horizons. Simply must be Horizons. Chapter 76 is just too much to take. And in non-Fallout terms, And this will sound so cliche, but I stand by it, and the reading is still up on my channel with me crying and weeping through the whole thing. My Little Dashie.
Oh,
yeah!
God.
I have a reading up of My Little Dashie.
I forgot about that one. Damn. I finished the first one by Storm XF, and I finished the two other stories about it, and the last story crushed me. But honestly, I'd have to say Project Horizons was the saddest ball to Equestria, and the Regular. I'd really have to say I can't remember the name of it, but it has to do with Princess Luna entering Princess Cadent's dreams on her last dying days and all that, and it's like really, really sad.
Mm-hmm.
It I it was bad, and and speaking about how like you're openly bawling thing, uh, I never had a physical like recording of me like. Wait, no, yeah, I have, but let's not talk about that. But continuing on, uh, I use Amino, and during the time I was watching the last few episodes of Akaname Got Kill on Hulu, and I finished it in just half an hour. I just was sobbing to the point where I couldn't breathe, and I was just shaking.
Mm.
And I happened to, because I wanted to be an asshole, I happened to record myself in a voice message just sobbing, just straight sobbing for 11 seconds. But what
Yeah, if you look up the My Little Dashie thing, you will hear me cry.
honestly, it's so weird to see like YouTubers cry and all that. The first YouTuber I ever saw really cry was PewDiePie, and it shocked me because it was when he finished the first Walking Dead game,
Mm.
when Lee dies and he has to pass on the torch to Clementine.
Oh, yeah.
That got everybody, I think. But man, we've come so far. Clementine's like so grown up now. It's kind of sad to see that this game is the final season, and I really hope that Clementine doesn't die.
Afraid I don't watch it.
Oh, it's
I have not played the games or watched the series.
okay. Think of Scotch Tape. Think of her growing up into a mare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But man, all of her, all the current friends that were in Project Horizons that she still had, thought Blackjack died,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really sad to think about.
But for Blackjack, it was better.
I mean, Scotch Tape lost everyone,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so weird to think about. Continuing on, most lighthearted series or show that you have seen.
Was like a show. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, this is gonna sound weird. I'm gonna choose two shows that both have really serious and sad moments, but also have hilarious, lighthearted moments. Avatar: Last Airbender or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 2003 version. Specifically, 2003. The other ones I'm not that keen on. 2003. They're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm sorry, it was the only other fandom I've really been a part of.
And what of you, Visual?
Lighthearted series. Most lighthearted series? Ah. What would that be? If I actually tell you, I have a feeling there will be a lot of laughter and controversy here.
Eh,
Okay.
I'm a serious person.
Ojamajo Doremi.
What?
I don't know what that is.
Also in the West, known as simply Doremi. I will go ahead, copy the link into the chat, and since you seem to have trouble joining the chat, I will send it to you in a private message as well.
Okay.
Wait, I've heard of this anime. This is Little Girl Witches.
I haven't heard of it, but if I could pipe up, I'd have to say Angel Beats. That is the most lighthearted anime that I have ever seen.
You wouldn't like the ending.
I watched the ending. That's what made it better because he technically extended her lifespan.
Well, this was the most light-hearted series that I ever watched. It was a guilty pleasure of mine, if you might say so.
Aww.
Okay.
Ending's so sad,
Of Doremi?
isn't it? That's what I heard.
I have never watched the series in its entirety. I would like to.
Oh, I'm not reading
That's
anything.
But the problem is that it was only released, I think, up to season 3 or something here. And then they only continued and did random reruns. They didn't even show the episodes in order anymore.
Oh.
And that's when I stopped watching.
Okay. I'm gonna ask something of you, and you probably can't do it since you're sick. I'd like both of you to do impressions of characters you've done, but Visual, I'd like you to try to start, and I'd like you to try to do Blackjack.
Blackjack.
Yes.
Give me a moment. Clearing my vocal cords. So, what would you like me to say?
That's good enough. And you, Midnight, with Puppy Smiles.
I knew you were gonna ask for that
The
one.
fucking name.
Hi, I'm Puppy Smiles. Have you seen my mom?
The first quote from Puppy Smiles. Damn.
Is it actually the first time she speaks?
Yes.
What was that thing Blackjack said? One of the first things she says in chapter 1 of Project Horizon. So let me think.
Oh, I think it had to do something with those two ponies or something.
No, that's yeah, that's right. But I was thinking of a quote that she is saying while asking Midnight for help. with the shackles that those other that Marmalade and I think I don't know her name, Rose or something, put on her. Daisy and Marmalade put shackles on her, and she, for the life of her, can't release those shackles. And so she's going to a Pip-Boy technician Pip-Bug technician who has the name Midnight. And she says something like, "Well, such a smart and beautiful unicorn like you would be so much better at helping me out of these shackles." And then Midnight is considering and all that, and to push her over the edge, Blackjack says, "I'll pay you in oral sex."
That honestly,
Jack.
how did you feel when you had to like first voice Blackjack?
When I first voiced Blackjack,
How did you feel about it?
what do you mean?
Like, because I had
For
a
me, she was a character that I wanted to voice, and I had read Horizons up to a certain point at that time, and so I had a good idea how she would behave. The only thing that I was constantly having in the back of my mind was, you have over 4,000 pages of this to read.
it's that's funny
Good luck.
because I couldn't do something like that. There was a time when I was trying to nail this audition for like an abridged YouTube group, and it was basically I was trying to audition for some clown anime dude from Turin or something Lagon or whatever, Duran Lagon, and
Mm-hmm.
the audition that I was trying to do, uh, nowadays, I regretted trying to do it, but what I had to do was I had to sound kind of gay and a little high pitched. So, how the guy perceived me trying to do it, he told me try to do it this way, and I was like, introducing the newest member of the Lagan. But I couldn't nail it right. I was not good enough.
newest member of the Lugan.
It was just it was weird how because when he did it, I was like, holy shit, you have a high voice. And then they banned me because I was being annoying and being an asshole.
Mm.
Yeah, I was kind of pissed off with the requirements they were having me do for a character that they were abridging.
Mm.
Moving on. Who have you voiced on your not on your channel? I know. I think you were in a. I believe you were in a Meanwhile, weren't you, or something?
Repeat that, please.
You were in one of those Meanwhile on whatever channel, or you were in one of those Christmas shorts on the Rift or someone's channel.
I'm pretty sure I was never.
No,
part
Visual
of-
was never on one of those.
I
I
was
know what
never.
you're talking about.
I was never in the Rift.
I swear I
And
saw
I
you
was
in
n-
one video as like a little reference, and you started talking a little bit.
Where you might have seen me. Let me look it up real quick.
Maybe it was a Valentine's type thing. I can't remember. Hearts and Hoops Day.
No, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. I have voiced quite a few times for Scribbler. And what you very likely mean is this video.
Yes.
A better love story than Twilight, her April Fool's thing,
Yes, that.
where she had a bag of Vicodin, who is also male, destroy all of my recording equipment and be totally in love with me and wanting my child.
I'm really glad that I never was a part of what you guys were doing.
Could be worse.
Oh,
Yeah, it's still fun.
I didn't. Oh, I forgot something. When backtracking, when you were talking about the inspiration of how you got into the fandom Midnight and how you figured out that Every was doing the same thing as you. I don't know since I haven't searched far enough, but is there actual bronies that are like interviewing people as a full time thing?
Let me think. There are people analyzing other YouTubers and sometimes getting people on board, but not as far as I know. No, not specifically interviewing.
Ah, so I'm the first one. Yay! Yay me!
Nah, don't quote me on it. I might be wrong. YouTube is a big place.
I think I have to rain on the parade a little bit.
Oh?
Because I know there is one channel who does it. I don't remember the name, but I know his avatar is a black cat.
Okay.
He interviewed, I think David something. I don't remember his name right now. The dude who wrote And Tootsie Flute Makes 3, Curse of the Werepony, Curse of the Werepony 2. The guy who wrote those stories.
Wait.
He interviewed. I know that.
I think I managed to get that guy for a short time to edit my stories.
Yeah, the thing is, I watched one of his interviews, and that was it. The thing is, when you become a YouTuber yourself, you have, like, with the recording of stories, with the editing and stuff, and I know I have a team of editors, but basically they're sound designers, because all the pre-editing stuff, cleaning and all that, I do that. They
Not
only they edit. Yeah, for you they do more. But for me they only add sound effects and music. And if you have that and also want to have a little bit of a private life, then you don't have time to watch other YouTubers anymore. Which is sad.
Here's the other thing. I never watched your audio thing of Fall Equestria, but did you actually do a voice thing for Little Pip or no?
I think I simply voiced her like this.
When how did you get the voice talents of fuck, what was his name? He did Astro
Brony.
Astro Brony, thank you.
Okay, I will answer the question. The thing is, Astro was the only one who auditioned for Triage and Professor Zodiac. He was literally the only one, except one girl who auditioned, but she was like 11 and even said that in her audition, and I can't justify having an 11-year-old voice what that character was about to say.
Fuck.
And her voice was very high pitched, so
Damn it. Why? I missed the casting calls. I would have loved to voice one of the males, or something at least. But maybe I don't have the voice for it.
well, I stopped doing casting calls simply because I got so frustrated with people missing deadlines or delivering subpar quality or not listening to my directions in the script
Hmm.
that yeah.
There
If
was
you, for example, if you listen to the attack on the society in Fallout Equestria Project Horizons, for example, Scribbler has a part in that. And I didn't have the heart to tell her to re-record.
Midnight kind of sounds like Scribbler. A little bit.
I have actually been mistaken for Scribbler and Mad Munchkin.
Ah, that's surprising. And this not a famous thing, but so many times throughout my entire fucking life, so many times people have like turned me around and said, "Hey, Sammy," and I'm like, "That's my brother," because me and him are kind of look alike a little bit, and it would piss me off so much, so many times this has happened.
I don't mind too much because it's only happened once or twice, and considering we're all from roughly the same country, it doesn't really matter too much. I'm like, similar accent, that's fine. I'd get more worried if I was mistaken for, I don't know.
Me?
Yeah, that would be weird.
Honestly,
That would be really weird.
honestly, I need to. I'm gonna have the tendency to show you guys an image of him because I want to just um, get it off my chest. If that's fine.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Here's to hoping that I can actually post in the whatever thing. If I can't, I'll send you the private message and then you can send it in the chat. Here we go. This one's a good one.
Send it to me via private message, I guess.
Let me see if it loads in first in the private text channel. Okay, it didn't load. I'll send it to you. This is awkward. Mimi's online. Oh, my good old Spanish friend Mimi Zinga. Or Italian. Fuck. He's Italian. I didn't get that wrong.
I'm terrible at remembering where people are from 90% of the time.
Now I need to...
Even though I could be talking to them, and they'll have a really strong accent, but I still won't say anything because I don't know if I can place it.
See, and now I'm gonna get an image of myself when I was clean shaven. People a lot of times have mistaken both of us. And it's
For
annoying.
each other.
Yes.
It's kind of like how, yeah. It's kind of like how Thomas Sanders was mistaken for the paint guy a lot of the time.
Ah, good old Thomas Sanders. I love old Viners.
And then they had to do a collab to sort of show, no, we're different people.
Paint guy? I don't remember that collab.
He's the one that did the Disney parodies of What Happened Next.
Ah.
They got really popular, and so they did a collab. I was gonna say crossover. They did a collab where You know, they even got to know each other a bit,
I'm
doing
honestly,
whether or not they were actually the same.
I'm honestly surprised that nobody has mistaken Drew Goodwin and shit, what was his name? He did the really weird edits on Vine. What was his name? His subs, their names are called Greg. He calls them Greg.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot his name. I'm so upset because I watch him all the time. I think his name was Danny. But continuing on, um, oh, fuck, I'm running out of questions, and we're only at an hour and 5 minutes. I usually keep these going for 2 hours. What voice scenes have you done, Midnight, or what have you read?
What have I read?
Yes.
Like on my channel?
Yes.
Quite a bit. One of the first ones was the party adoption, which is one about Scootaloo. I've read so much stuff. I'm like scrolling through it now. Pinkie Pie Tries Vegetables. I've done comic dubs. I haven't actually done very many like multiple chapter stories because I just didn't want to do them.
Mm-hmm.
Especially considering they took forever.
Oh, I know a really good Fallout story for you that's really innocent, kind of like Generation 3 innocent.
Forget it, she won't read Fallout.
No, sorry.
If I can get her to read a little bit of Speaks, that will be a big victory.
No, trust me. I got the one for her. I got the one for her. It's called TBY. Fallout Equestria TBY. I'm getting the link for it now. And it's made by David Silber. Another very good friend of mine that I tried to ask if he could hopefully do the full story, and he said no. And I tried to ask him to do it for Project Horizons, and he said no. He said that even if you paid me as a Patreon, I wouldn't do it or something.
Okay.
Doing a reading of something.
But there, I sent you the link.
I send it to me now.
The description just sums it up completely. It's like an 8-minute to 10-minute read,
Only 1,279 words.
and it's really cute. It's such a cute story that made me giggle.
I just
Even
scrolled through it.
Somber-
It says boo boo.
Even Somber commented under it. Now do Project Horizons.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny?
Nice.
In the third time I interviewed Somber, I showed him these stories. And Somber has such just an angelic voice. His voice just is amazing.
Yeah, I saw him on a stream with ANY Pony once.
Let me get the video of what it was. Basically, I have interviewed him 3 times, and it has been a very fun time. Also, don't question the thumbnail. That's just YouTube's algorithm.
Copy.
But Yeah, I had a blast with Somber. K-Cat won't do voice interviews. She won't. It's just, she won't.
Mm.
So I never got the chance to interview her.
K-Cat?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have only had one interaction with K-Cat, and that was when I was asking about permission to use 2 of her characters for my Fallout Equestria duty.
Oh, I was asking her permission as well, even though my story never went anywhere and will never go anywhere, sadly. Um, but I asked her permission. She said sure. Keep it like something lawn canyon, blah blah blah. I already knew that. And then she got really pissed off with this one question I had asked her about if she was the one that published her own story, and that got her really mad.
Is that what with her own story? You cut out there for a second.
I asked her if she hardcover published her story, and she said no, and that seemed to really piss her off.
Oh.
But continuing on, am I boring you guys? Am I lingering this on too much?
No, no. The thing is just, I will have to go AFK for a few minutes because I have to go where even a Caesar goes alone.
Oh, okay.
Which
Okay.
basically means I have to go to the toilet.
On your
I'll be
porcelain
right back.
throne.
Yeah. It happens.
Just a little joke before I go. The wife from the kitchen calls, "Where is my white knight that I... Where's my white knight that I married 20 years ago?" And he sits on the john and calls back, "He's on the white throne!"
I can so see that happening in real life.
Honestly, this is kind of why I'm a little subconscious of panning and ranting on and on an interview, because I know I do it, but it's just so I can have a broad sense of like having you guys speak more of what you guys want to say. But kind of upset me when Somber sent me this. That kind of really killed my mood.
Yeah, I mean, that is.
Also, here's another thing that I just noticed. All that double spacing.
Double spacing?
Yeah, you don't see the double spaces?
No.
I
I
see
think
them.
something might be wrong with your Discord.
I guess.
But it is true. I mean, it would be good for you to have them written down, but honestly, that's fine. We're very casual, we're cool with this, and honestly, we have talked for hours before. We're voice actors. We're used to talking for hours. Well, he is. Me, not as much, but considering I'm doing Dream Equestria, I'm getting used to it.
Wow. This girl that I asked her if she could put my character in her gotcha burst thing, is really pissed off with me, because I asked her, what is this cookie obsession, because my character keeps saying I want a cookie, and I'm like, what, why is that a thing? So I scrolled all the way up and saw that the character had gotten her cookie stolen. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but that's not what my character acts like at all. And I asked her, what is this cookie obsession? And then she said, it's my series and I can do whatever I want with it, question mark. And then she said, and plus I'm changing it up and removing 2 people. So I think she's a little upset with me.
I'm sure it's fine. She just, even when using other characters, you don't like people criticizing it. I should know. I'm writing a story myself, right now, hopefully a book, but I don't know if yet. But and if anyone sort of points out problems, I get a bit defensive. So it's probably just that's really all.
See, I've been writing my story, Fallout Equestria, Shattered Memories, for 6 whole years now, 7 maybe, and I still haven't gotten anywhere with it at all. It's stuck on chapter 1, sitting at like 12,000 words.
Well, if you're stuck, I would suggest trying to take a look at it in a different angle. Sometimes it's better not to go straight in and start writing. Right now, although I say I'm writing a story, I'm actually in the planning stages. I am writing out the bullet points of the entire story, which I still haven't gotten to the end of, which shows it's definitely going to be a book. I've started writing more about the characters, what their motivations are. So sometimes just taking a step back and writing that down. You may have it all in your head, but you may not realize problems until you write it down. So that would be my suggestion. Anyone who's writing should have a rough plan idea of what they're. I mean, look at the most well-known writers, J.K. Rowling and C.S. Lewis and Tolkien. They all have or had things written down elsewhere about different characters. J.K. Rowling has an entire history to do with McGonagall that never got into the books. But that shows she planned all this beforehand before completely sitting down and writing it. And sometimes that can help you sort of see where the story is heading and what plot holes or things you might have.
See, and I've thought about the characters all throughout, like rewriting the story over and over again. I have the characters down. I have the beginning, somewhat hazy idea for the middle and the end down, but I don't have editors to help me. Although now I'm gonna rely solely on myself and hopefully use like premium Grammarly. Because I've gone through 43, maybe 60 editors. It's just my attitude and how toxic I am towards people that make them go away. And it sucks because I'm the type of person that's like, hey, are you editing today? Hey, when are you going to do it tomorrow? Hey, why haven't you edited in 2 weeks? Hey, do it right now. And I rush because I get through the story and I'm like, hey, I want them to edit. I had them go and I'm like, hey, I want them to edit for like each day. Just one edit each day. That's all I wanted them to do.
Sadly, not everyone can do that, and it's usually best to just take a step back. I'm doing a Dream Equestria, and there are some people who have let me down. However, I don't bother them every day or even that sort of thing. I usually wait a few weeks. If I haven't heard from them, message them, hey, what's going on? And then if they don't get back to me again, then I would email them, that sort of thing. But yeah, no, knocking on their door all the time, although seems effective, doesn't usually work.
It doesn't get results.
No, it just gets frustrated editors and frustrated people. And even worse, you'll get their worst work as well.
Yeah. My editors, for example, or our editors, have... at least I don't know how you handle them, Lev, but with me they have a week for what I give them. And I don't mind if it takes a little bit longer because we have, at least I have such a big backlog that even now with the stories that are already done, I can release stuff publicly until the end of 2019.
Whereas I don't have that, so I usually, although I'm trying to build up a thing, so I have some things in storage, sometimes not. So I specifically say, look, I need this story before the end of the month. Whereas these ones, you can take all the time you need. 9 times out of 10, they get it to me but all of them are done before the end of the month. But yeah, that's usually what I do. And if I don't have a story, I usually just go, "Hey, what's going on? You alright? Anything happening?" Because sometimes life can get in the way. Just life can be the bitch, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to record, but I haven't been able to because work and life getting in the way.
I wanted to record as well, but I'm sick.
Yeah. Imagine having all the time in the world and being ill, so you can't do anything.
Mhm. Sucks.
I'd be making you chicken soup if I could, my love.
Get your butt over here.
Your guys' love kind of makes me sad. It reminds me of all the failed relationships I've been through.
Yeah, I know that. I know that a lot.
Yeah.
And
Anyway,
for a little backstory about the girl that's like hassling me about all this, me and her used to date, but I'm still glad that she's just sticking by me.
Mm-hmm.
that's fair.
Okay, so let's see. She doesn't want more than mark. Starlight. Sorry, I'm just going over who she wants me to remove. She asked me who she's gonna remove. She asked me that question.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just stupid stuff. She has her own channel, does speed paints and all that. Um, but how was your time on that porcelain throne?
Productive.
You read any funny articles on that newspaper?
I don't read the newspaper.
It's a joke. It's a joke, dude.
Who does actually? I think my grandparents.
My dad.
I used to read
Still
books.
stands.
I used to read books doing it.
No, I just don't read while I'm on there. Simple as that. I usually have audiobooks in my ear, and that's all.
So how did you meet? I love the whole idea of YouTubers becoming a couple.
That's an interesting story.
You want to tell it?
I'm kind of curious how you'll tell it. Go ahead, love.
I've retold the story to you several times.
That's another reason.
Okay, so thing is, Midnight was in a different relationship back then, and was in the same group chat as me. And you might know, or you might not know, that I was, whatever term you want to use, in a relationship with Midnight and someone else. And the thing is that Midnight was looking for advice on long distance relationships. And I was like, hey, I am in a long distance relationship. And I told her so many horror stories about it in a private chat that I'm very surprised that we actually ended up being in a relationship.
Yeah, technically with the conversations we had, we shouldn't be dating.
Mm-hmm. I tried to warn her off of long-distance relationships. And it didn't work, as you can clearly see.
Well, I'm very happy for you guys.
Same here.
How long have you guys
Yep.
been going?
Over a year now?
This is our second year now, yes.
Ah, man. I can't remember.
Yeah, we're into our second year. It hasn't been the entire year.
No. We're entering year 2.
Yeah.
I can't remember the first time that I started dating this other girl. She's a big girl. She's a big black girl in one of the far off like islands or whatever. Very beautiful accent when she wants to do it. But I met her on this roleplay site, and just she fell in love with me and my character, and she's always been with me. But sadly, like I've been too busy to like talk to her and stuff, and it's really upsetting. But I'm finally back, and I'm trying to talk to her again. But like we both have different time zones, and it's just annoying, and yeah.
With Midnight and me, we do have a little bit of an issue with time zones at times. But since it's only an hour...
It's not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope that she doesn't hate me now because I've been gone a little too long.
You know what the simplest thing is to do? Ask her.
Yeah.
Seriously, Midnight and I, at the beginning, you were doing a little bit of the dancing around thing where you wouldn't say something.
Yeah.
And then I bluntly asked you.
I'm so. Oh. Okay.
I was like, look, I'm very bad at picking up hints, but even I noticed that there's something in the bush here.
Which which character in Fallout Equestria did you fall in love with?
Which character I would fall in love with?
Or that you have fallen in love with? That's your favorite.
How long you got?
Quite a while.
Stop mocking me. Seriously, love.
Sorry.
Honestly, I was a little.
I've already doubled down on your story time with visual. So, my favorite character in all of Fallout?
Yep.
Well, this might sound a little bit weird, but I think I would have to go with Vice General Frostmane.
I was a little shocked by Somber's answer because I didn't think that he was gonna strike so close to home, but he said Blackjack.
Yeah, Frostmane is also my main character in Fallout Equestria Duty.
Oh, okay. I haven't read that yet.
You will not be able to read it because I removed it from fanfiction.
I noticed that.
You can listen to it on my channel or our channel if you want.
Now, why did you exactly remove it?
Because, as you might know, there are also reviewers on fanfiction.
Okay.
And I don't mind my stuff being reviewed, but please review it fairly. And before you review it, read it in its entirety.
So,
Because I have had troubles with one particular reviewer on YouTube by the name of Emerald Comet.
Oh, I met him. Oh my god, I met him. He is an asshole.
And he admitted to not having read my story in Nightly Guardian completely. He only skimmed over the last 5 chapters and still went ahead and published a review on YouTube. That was so disrespectful that even though it was 3 a.m. when I was notified of this, I just couldn't help but had to go ahead and do an answer video debunking all of his points, because this was just, it was something that I just couldn't take laying down, you know. And yeah, even though he admitted that, he never updated his review. He didn't correct himself in a new video or whatever. It was just, yeah. And then there was also a reviewer on FimFiction whom I usually got along with pretty well, and then he started basically doing the same thing. With A Nightly Guardian, it ended up with people messaging me on FimFiction, telling me points out of his review, giving me advice how to fix my story. But since they brought up points from his review, who hadn't even read the whole thing, I knew they hadn't read my story either, because most of the points he brought up were issues that would have been explained during the last 3 chapters. Because I'm one of those authors, if you listen to my or read my story attentively, I have like little hints of the ending all around my story. And if you are an attentive reader, you can figure out the ending before the story actually ends. He apparently, like Emerald Comet, he didn't like that, as did Equestria Daily. Equestria Daily called my story confusing because of that. However, this dude on FimFiction, I don't remember his name right now, would have to look it up. He reviewed several of my stories, and I agreed with most of the reviews. It was like, okay, fair. But then he went after one of my babies, the first story I ever released on FimFiction, which was Children of the Night. The story, if you are aware of the PMV, the music video of Children of the Night, my story was the second that got released after the release of that PMV. And even the author of the first contacted me at one point and said that my story was superior to his, even though I had very bad grammar and spelling and all that. And this reviewer on FimFiction, he read only the first chapter, then wrote a review and labeled my story as a New Lunar Republic versus Solar Empire story. Which is not true in the slightest. And that pissed me off. And I was more than a bit annoyed at my work constantly being misrepresented, and the messages that I received about how to fix my work, that it was like, okay, you know what? Screw it. And I removed everything from Film Fiction. And there was even this website that was like Film Fiction Archive. I saw that they had my works on it, and I told them to remove it. I told them to remove all the works that they had of me in their archive. I mean, the author of that website was very salty about that. He didn't like it, that I told him to remove it. I was like, look, I have my reasons to ask you for this. Please respect my wishes.
I am really sorry about that.
The thing is, Children of the Night is a story where, yes, in the end, Luna does leave Equestria behind to live in the so-called Garden of Shadows inside the Everfree Forest. Okay? But she does not go up against her sister. The thing is that I went with a setting where Equestria is being conquered by the changelings. And all the princesses are captured except wait, one princess is one princess is captured, two princesses. Twilight and Cadence are captured. Celestia and Luna escape. And over a century ago, Luna had after the whole Discord crisis and everything, when there were a lot of orphans around, and Celestia wouldn't do anything about it. One night, Luna went ahead and created the so-called Garden of Shadows inside the Everfree Forest, flew around Equestria and gathered up the orphans from the orphanages and living on the street and whatever, and put them in the Garden of Shadows where she took care of them. The result of that was, since Luna's spell to create the garden was imperfect, a little bit of her alicorn magic leaked into them when they lived in the garden, prolonging their lifespan.
Ah. And you base that
also
off...
giving them...
You base that off all just that PMB?
Yes.
That's a very intelligent mind.
And the thing is, I also accounted for the whole thing in that PMV, the mare who... I actually have that mare in my story. I called her Moonsinger. And Moonsinger's eyes in that PMV start to glow at one point. And I accounted for that by explaining that they have alicorn magic inside of them. And when they are outside the garden, they can use that to strengthen their abilities, like physical strength, speed, and all that, for a short amount of time. But they have to be very careful not to use all the alicorn magic up, because if they do, time will catch up with them.
Damn.
So they will rapidly age 1,000 years.
I completely forgot what the question was.
You asked why I removed my stuff from Film Fiction.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was like the setting, and uh, Luna had, when Chrysalis took over Canterlot, she saw that they couldn't win and escaped with Celestia to the Everfree. And there, her children, because they call her our dear mother, sensed her presence and immediately came out of the garden and dispatched of the changelings who were pursuing her. And in the end, the Children of the Night, as they themselves call them, help Celestia and Luna to reconquer Equestria.
That sounds like a pretty good bittersweet story.
It is. However, a lot of the Children of the Night lose their lives in that endeavor. And also Moonsinger, who is kind of considered Luna's closest adopted child, dies during the assault on Canterlot. And the reason why Luna then leaves to be with her children is because Celestia refuses to acknowledge what the Children of the Night have done for them, and that without their help, they wouldn't have been able to do it. She wants to kind of make it look like it was all Celestia and Luna's doing, while in fact, without the Children of the Night, they wouldn't have been able to pull that off. She's also very pissed about, at one point, the main six, one of them is dying, and Twilight informs her about that, and all she does is like, yeah, well, I'm very sorry about that, but it looks like we will have to look for a new bearer for that element. And so, seeing how Celestia treats the whole situation, Luna decides she should be with her children, like any good mother would be, instead of ruling Equestria.
Huh.
That's the whole thing. It is not a story about how the new Luna Republic would be better for the people or whatever. No. It's simply a little war story in which Luna at the end is a little bit disillusioned about her sister's motivations.
I didn't understand that very much. Speaking about how, like, people losing their lives and all that for, like, a cause and all that, it brings me back to reading the last few chapters of Project Horizons. It's upsetting, because they all fight and then so many of them die. You don't expect it since they're main characters, but no, they die. And the same rule applied to Akame ga Kill. They set you up just for all these characters having all their plots, and just so kind in how they are, and just giving you attachment to them, just to watch them at the end just all die. And have you seen the anime?
No. But I know stories like that.
I'll just tell you what happens. Basically, the character at the end, he uses the upgraded armor that his friend gave him after he died, and he destroys the ultimate weapon, but he ends up dying from it. And Estes decides, after she loses a lot of blood and stuff fighting the other girl that liked Tatsune, she decides to freeze herself with Tatsune's body and then just break into shards of Ison die because she loved Katsumi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's just when I saw like the ice just break and he was gone, I just my jaw dropped and I was just stuck for 30 minutes crying
Understandably.
because none of them had plot armor. They all died.
Well, you have never read Fallout Equestria Duty
No, I have not.
and not listened to it either?
No, I didn't get around time to it.
I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler here. Love, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
The story revolves around two characters, Vice General Frostmane and Secondary Commander Firestorm. Hello? You guys still there? Because
I
something
am.
Yeah.
just I had like a scratching noise in my ears, and there was like, okay, those two are the commanders of the Moon Skulls. The Moon Skulls are a very secretive military unit that is only answering to Princess Luna. No one else inside the equestrian military has any jurisdiction over them. And they do horrible things from time to time. Now, due to a little bit of misunderstandings and sabotage and whatever, they end up going into stasis. And literally sleep through the day the bombs fell. And wake up in the wasteland.
God bless you.
Gesundheit. And eventually Firestorm and Frostmane get close. And Firestorm then gets captured by also a former Moonskull member, who is the main antagonist of the story. And she gets, let's say, hurt. Gear Turn, as this antagonist is called, wants to make her more obedient. First, she tries to brainwash her to actually attack Frostmane when she comes to rescue her, but that doesn't work. And so what she does to make her more agreeable, as she calls it, is she cuts off her wings and lobotomizes the girl.
I gotta read that story.
Hmm?
Man, is there a copy you can give me in a doc or anything?
Just listen to the audiobook. Believe me, it brings across the whole thing a lot better.
Okay. Yeah, I tried to get into your audiobook with Pink Eyes. I couldn't. That's why I decided to read the story.
Ah,
And I got halfway through Project Horizons with your audiobook, and then I left for a while and then tried to listen to you again, and I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm lost. I'm lost. I don't know which chapter is which, so I decided to read it.
okay. Well, they're all organized in playlists. Just go to the channel. There is a playlist for all the stories.
Okay.
Every story has its own playlist.
You seem like a very talented writer.
Me?
He's an
No.
awesome storyteller. That's for definite.
Honestly, there was one thing that I was always trying to ask you one time back on YouTube, that you also never commented back on, but it was like I was trying to ask you to help me with my story.
I don't have the time for that. Seriously. I'm sorry, but in terms of when I work on audiobooks, and then, as I said earlier, if I want to have a little bit of free time, like to spend with Midnight, I really can't take any more projects. I used to help people with stories, but all I can do nowadays is point people to the general advice for narrators and fanfiction author videos that I made. Because I simply just, when I get home from work, I'm dead. The only times that I can work on my own stuff is when I have a little bit of free time. And even right now, I do have free time, but I can't work on it because, as you might notice already, I am short on air. I have contracted a bronchitis and I've apparently run around with this for a while, and now was very close to getting pneumonia when I went to see my doctor, who, when he listened to my lung noises, just went wide-eyed. So I'm not allowed to to strain myself right now.
As sad as Golden Blood.
Yeah, but I don't have schemes all around the country and a giant bomb on the moon.
Oh, God, I remember when I first contracted fucking bronchitis. I was walking off the bus one day. I did it in school, and then I spit up like just bad green mucus onto the floor, and it was during when I was doing football, and that wheezing and coughing I had in my throat, and the talking. Oh God, it was horrible.
Talking right now is okay, even though you might notice that my voice is a bit rougher than usually. The problem mostly is air.
See, you're German, so I can't really tell.
And I have a bit of trouble with pain in my chest during breathing right now. Like my entire torso is just burning with pain if I take a deep breath.
Respiratory issues.
Yeah.
That reminds me when I was a child. Back when I was younger, I was diagnosed with a very rare illness, and it was called respiratory system virus, and it almost killed me. But I'm a fighter, and later on in life, actually, a few years back, like a year or two back, I took this test to figure out what my virtue was, and I have found out that my virtue is the same as Blackjack's.
Sacrifice?
No, that's Little Pets. Blackjack's is something. It starts with a P.
I don't remember, to be quite honest.
Let me look at my phone. I have it.
I know that Blackjack has the talent to always pay the price.
Perseverance. That's what it's called. Yeah, that's what my virtue is. And
Love?
Yeah.
You've been so silent, and I wonder what your virtue would be.
I have no idea.
actually, let me
No idea.
test you guys. Hold on.
This could be interesting.
Which was it? This one? Maybe it was. think it might
I don't
have.
know what mine would be. Maybe. Certainly not patience.
No, certainly patience is not your virtue. I know that from experience.
um. Don't like blowing my own trumpet. Kindness?
Kindness.
I don't know. Maybe I'm Fluttershy.
In terms of wasteland virtues. What could you be? I'm certainly destructive.
Don't deny that.
Mine would be very likely be something like helpful or something.
I would argue yours would be kindness or something like that too.
Me.
Sorry.
Have you met me?
You
I
good?
would hope so.
Yeah, just my lungs are not completely cooperating with me. They seem to think that breathing is a bad idea
Hopefully you don't
and
die.
and that I should stop doing it.
You
I
won't
disagree.
die.
If I do, I have set up a message on Google that will be sent to you in 3 weeks.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
What the?
Giving you full control over my YouTube stuff and Google in general.
I think this is the best one I can find. Damn it.
I don't want to say awesome, but awesome?
I did that a while ago.
God, I am so tired.
What is it?
I'm not tired. It's that it feels as if I've got hair stuck in my lung. Like a constant tickling.
So, do you feel like you relate to Blackjack at all?
If I relate to blackjack,
Yes.
no.
I do have another question that's kind of like really silly and stupid, but how would you think the interaction would go if Blackjack and Jack Black met?
Who? Jet Black?
Blackjack and Jack Black.
Jack Black, the actor.
Yes.
I don't know too much about him. Blackjack would very likely be freaked out by seeing a human. That's all I can think of.
Every
And
time
then she'd likely get out her trusty sexy and try to kill him.
I think
Sexy.
What?
Sorry, I just wanted to tell Midnight. Sexy is the name she gave her combat shotgun.
Gotcha.
Wait, she did? It's been so long since I've read the story.
Yes, she eventually gets an IF-88 Iron Pony. The exact same IF-88 Iron Pony that was wielded by Big Mac.
But man, I hate that you paused so
Yes.
long.
I don't pause long.
Yes, you do.
Really,
It
I
might-
don't.
Actually,
Might just be connection issues.
it might be connection, but you do sometimes pause for quite a while. I think that is mainly Discord, though. I've noticed it because I've been re-listening to our live streams, and sometimes there's a long pause.
I don't want to be the person that Somber said I was, because a few times back in the interviews with him, I would interrupt him, and I pointed that out, and I don't want to do that.
It's okay. I always try to answer right away.
Okay. So I'm just gonna give you like a full 30 seconds of pause time now. But
30 seconds of what?
pause time.
You cut out of pause time.
Yes.
Okay.
Every time I picture Jack Black, I just think about just Tenacious D.
Thing is, you're cutting out a little bit, so I can't. I sometimes just don't understand your question or what you're saying.
That's my internet for you. Yay.
And mine.
Not mine.
Man, I can't do my girly voice anymore.
So you were saying Jack Black and Blackjack.
Yes.
Could you repeat what you were saying? Because I really didn't hear that.
I said every time I bring up Jack Black, it reminds me of Tenacious D.
Which also doesn't ring a bell for me. Love, am I old?
No, because it didn't ring a bell with me either. We just might be out of the loop.
I'm only like 19, and that like movie came out somewhere in the 2002s.
I don't watch a lot of movies. She's always annoyed at me for that.
So,
There's a reason we have a list of things we need to watch.
I'm just binge watching anime.
Binge watching everything.
Okay, so we're sitting at 2 hours, 2 minutes. Now, let me ask this. Who is your favorite character in Project Horizons?
Without a doubt, Lacunai.
Oh, I remember you saying a lot that you loved that character.
Yeah, this character was just best.
Didn't you have to do a retake or something when she technically died?
No,
That didn't
if I
make...
remember correctly. No, go ahead.
That didn't make you sad at all?
It did, but first of all, the show must go on, and I usually have the things that I will cry or rage after the fact. So I usually don't do it during my thing. There is, if you know Wooten, he once did a live stream where he got several narrators together, and he had us read stories from Pastebin. Literally, one having a scene where someone forced a basketball into Fluttershy's ass. And he wanted me to narrate that scene, and I narrated it without laughing. And everyone in the chat was laughing their asses off as I did.
That's wooden for
Yes,
you.
love, I said that.
What? Sorry, I was doing the virtue thing, and what it's come up with is hilarious.
What did it come up with?
Temperance.
Mm-hmm.
You believe that keeping your mind clear and healthy. This means you don't take anything into your body that will affect your thinking or your mood. Alcohol and drugs have ruined the lives of many people, possibly people you know and you value sobriety. You try to help others with their addiction problems too. What? No. That's not me. I'm sorry.
Um.
Hmm.
So, did you ever have like a coughing fit after you did voicing of Blackjack, or no?
Of Blackjack, no.
How did it make you feel while you were voicing her?
Um, well, depends. Uh, at times, really, really silly. At times, really, really angry. At times, really, really angry, sad, whatever the emotion she had at the time. Because when I play a character, I become the character.
Oh, that takes me back to a person that said that. And here's the thing that YouTubers never really think about. There was this fan game that I was watching Jacksepticeye play, and it was about him. And it gets
Mhm.
to the end of it, and the character that's basically him, it's he's talking about how basically he doesn't, and it's Sean. It's basically Sean. How he feels like he doesn't. It's not really him on when he's recording himself. He puts on a face and a mask, and like it just makes him unhappy. But the character goes on and on about how after the fact of recording, he takes off that mask and nobody really knows it's him, and it's not really him at all. It's a mask that he puts on, and like how he's done it for so long that he doesn't even know who he is anymore. And that's an
Mhm.
interesting concept to think about for YouTubers.
Well,
Well,
I would argue that everyone puts on a mask every single day, everywhere they go. That doesn't mean they're not being their true selves. I admit that I would put on a different mask with my parents than I would with my friends. But that's not really a mask, that's just me choosing that I will do this around. I will be careful of what I say or what I do around my parents rather than my friends. So, yes, YouTubers in a way wear a mask because Jack is such a, what's the word, energetic guy. He would see that energy gets him a lot more attention, and so would do that more, and then that just becomes part of who he is. I wouldn't necessarily call it a mask unless you're completely faking it.
Mm-hmm.
As in, I don't know, like an actor, and like becoming a completely different person. I don't know if that makes complete sense, but yeah.
After I get done with this whole interview, I'll show you that clip because it's like 18 minutes or whatever.
yeah, I know what you mean. The whole thing with staying yourself on YouTube, it's really hard because I was much more personal when I started out, and it ended up with me almost wanting to leave YouTube because of a stalker. He found everything, even my home number.
Yeah, you've got to be careful.
Honestly, it's really strange because even for me, I put on so many different masks on the internet that I don't even really know who I am anymore.
Everyone has different masks. Just as Midnight just said. If I'm with my dad, I act differently. I especially notice it in nursing. Depending on the patient I'm nursing at the time, I will behave completely differently.
Depending what type of customer comes into my work, I will act differently.
Mm-hmm.
Or whoever I'm working with, I know what I can and cannot say. Can I joke around, or do I have to be serious?
I am proud of my mother for doing what she has to deal with for like so many years at just a store that she's been working at for a long time. But honestly, when I started reading Fallout Equestria Project Horizons, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the character Blackjack. I felt that she imprinted, and I felt that I related to her in a big way.
Well, Blackjack is a character that is a little bit relatable, but yeah, she just has some things that I do not agree with. But in general, she is a good pony.
She's more white. She's more on the light side of grey than the dark side of grey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just honestly kind of upset that she easily allowed to get mind controlled twice.
Mind control?
The first time was with the goddess, and the second time was in the core.
Yes, I know what you mean. One time she had Princess Luna's soul, and the one time the goddess took her over. Mm-hmm.
Yep. But the way I feel that I relate to Blackjack is Blackjack has gotten hurt so many times and has gotten up from everything.
Yeah, but Blackjack also, as she keeps saying, I'm not a clever pony. Blackjack could have just stopped. She had every opportunity to just stop.
Stubbornness. It drives a lot of people. I'm driven by curiosity and stubbornness. But let me honestly ask this. In all the periods of when you read the story, do you think that Blackjack was ever afraid of hospitals?
Yes.
See? I relate to that. 'Cause those fucking bastards almost killed me in one. But I'm saving that story and a lot of other stories that I've been through for another day.
Blackjack is afraid of a lot of things. She, however, her greatest fear, and that is one that comes up in one of the earliest chapters, I think even chapter 2 or 3, is to kill some pony that doesn't deserve it.
Honestly, this part sounds really messed up for me, but people have like always asked me, why do I put myself through watching very sad anime knowing that it's sad and it's going to make me emotional? And I tell them, because the day that I don't cry is when I know that I'm truly a monster. And I force myself every now and again to watch something sad to see if I'll cry.
Mm-hmm. I don't need to do that. I just have to remember my life.
Oh, love.
Love, I've told you a lot of it. You know the sick of it.
I know.
Can
No.
you, in all honesty, say that it has not been a sad one?
No, I wouldn't be able to say that. Though I think that there's another way in which to check if you have feelings. Have me come over for a bit, and then see if you cry. We both cry when we leave.
Yeah.
You guys, how much time do you have left?
I really should probably be getting to bed. I've got work in the morning.
Yeah, and I should take my medication and also sleep soon.
Oh man, I have to fucking sleep soon as well. But
So not before I blow off the head of this super mutant.
But I just, the last thing I want to say is the things that have happened to me. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be quick about it, trust me. But it's really fucked up and sad. Okay?
Go ahead.
So, starting out, I was born. I was doing fine, and then a couple months later, I was diagnosed, or like 2 years later, I was diagnosed with RSV, and they had to put me in an incubation chamber, strap me up to stuff to keep me alive. That's where I developed asthma, and then later on, I was diagnosed with autism, so that kind of screwed up a lot of my education, hence why I'm not as smart as I should be. And later on, I made a few bad choices with my body to the point where I now am usually in pain from my kidney because I developed kidney stones that I'll never get rid of. And the since I was only little and 11, the doctors decided he's gonna move too much in his sleep, so they kept me awake with no pain medication, no numbness or anything, and I had to experience them ripping that tube out of my body for 3 hours. And it wasn't fun. And then the second time around, I have later found out that now I have a Kalari malformation, aka my brainstem is growing too large for my head, and it gives me constant headaches, memory loss, just a bunch of different symptoms. And then I had to go back because another kidney stone episode happened, and they had me for surgery. And what happened is after surgery all got done, they one guy that was in training, first day on the job, decided he's gonna take the stent out of my body. So what he did was he pulled out the outside stent, but he took the inside one, which was supposed to be surgically removed, with it. And thanks to the healing factor I have and my family has, my wound healed around the stent in a day, and he reopened it. And it's just, my body's been fucked up since, and it's all downhill from here.
Yeah, nurses in training should not do that.
He wasn't a nurse. He was a urologist or whatever. And it was his first day.
In training.
Yeah, he got done with schooling, and it was his first day. So,
yeah.
what happened is he pulled it out. Immediately, I started losing a lot of blood, and thankfully, my mother was there, and she quickly slapped and patched pressure on the wound to stop the bleeding. and the feeling that I remember was feeling so cold, weak, and sleepy.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what was about to happen if the blood flow wouldn't have stopped?
Your blood pressure would have dropped to a degree where your heart would be unable to pump any more blood through your system, which would cause either the cause of death would either have been multi-organ failure or what is the translation?
Cardiac arrest.
Yes, cardiac arrest.
Exactly.
I'm a nurse. I'm a nurse. I know stuff like that.
I know another nurse person, but
Bloody annoying.
that kind of all went over my head. I'm not very smart.
The thing is, if you are working in the medical field, you have to know stuff like that. And I've had people literally bleed on me. So,
Oh, a recent thing. I just forgot. The friends that I known for a long time, 7 years, even 9, they jumped me and robbed me.
robbed you.
Yes. What happened is they asked me, "Hey, we need help taking the bricks out of the back of the trunk." So okay, I'm like, okay. I went out there to help. I took one, put it down, go grab the second one, and then I had the thought because I've gotten a lot smarter and pretend to be smarter too, and I'm like, wait, why am I the only one doing? And I get in the middle of my question and I get socked in the face, and then they break my nose. Oh, then they stole my PlayStation and then dipped.
Yeah. That sucks.
Not very good friends. Hell, doesn't even have to be a fucking wasteland and there's already corrupted people that will stab you in the back.
No, that's just human beings, or in Fallout's case, pony beings, but people beings, person beings.
Love,
Yes.
I hate to say, but according to this test, you are right. Kindness.
Yay!
Considerate and caring above all, you always try to make those around you feel comfortable and happy. As a result, people are drawn to you. A smile, a compliment, a listening ear, these are all ways you make the world a nicer place.
Told ya.
Oh, shut up.
I'm sorry, I'm getting tired.
Same.
Yeah. And I'll have to go as well.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for having us.
It was really great having you guys. Hopefully I get to be in like other things that you guys do, and in return, I'd love to try to have you as guest people sometimes in my podcast that I do.
We'll see about that. We'll have to see how it is in terms of time, because I'm rapidly approaching my few left finals for my schooling, and so a lot of study time will be coming up for me.
See, surprisingly, I'm no longer in school, but like I'm gonna be much more busy now since I'm getting a gym membership and I'm gonna need to be working out to get thinner.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was great having you guys. Hope you guys liked it. I really hope that I didn't drag this on too long.
No, it's okay.
You're fine.
Okay. Well, see you all later, and remember, join Nation, Brooder Nation. Bye bye.